Welcome back to the Hurdle the Line podcast. This is the preview show brought to you by the AAW Network. I am your host, Fletch, and as always, I am joined by Sam. Mate, how are you?
Yeah, good. All good. Sad that
Just,
the season's going to be over soon.
I know. Yeah. Um, 155 days ago, the Eagles edged past the Cowboys to open the season. Since then, every snap has led to here. The road to Santa Clara is complete. 284 games played, and now just 60 minutes stand between the Seattle Seahawks, the New England Patriots, and the Lombardi Trophy. Super Bowl 60 is here, and Sam and I will be your guides through the all important game. Before we do get into it, though, don't forget to follow us and the AAW Network on the social medias. Join our free to join Discord server, and you can find all the relevant links and information in the description of this episode. AAW underscore NFL, AAW underscore network, and follow myself and Sam on social media too. If you are on YouTube, they are right below Sam's beautiful face and my face. Or if you are listening on Spotify, Apple, or any other audio platform, they're just inside the app you are listening to them on. Before we start, there are a couple of pieces of news. We haven't spoke for a week, Sam. We've not done this. This hasn't been a thing for, well, actually, it was a little thing once over Christmas because we didn't record on Christmas Day because some people aren't committed and would rather spend time with their families and loved ones over Christmas, which is just disgusting. Um, I know Sam was extra committed to not spending time with his child or his wife or his family over Christmas. Sam wanted to do it. I refused. That was my fault. Um, no, the pretty much though for 5 months now, we have not had to wait a week to deliver news. It's been
Mm.
quite the season. Um, so there's been a bit. It's been 10 days since the. Well, actually, no, it's been 7 days since the last episode. We did record last week. You and I, we did our own little special awards. Go back and check that one out if you haven't yet already. Um, with it being Super Bowl week, since the Monday, all the news is kind of some of the bigger pieces are coming out as of right now because Roger Goodell's been doing press conferences. They're announcing a lot of the bigger things. So some things will get missed in this, but we'll start with the international series announcements. The NFL have announced that Paris is the next location to get the next brand new location to get an NFL game. The Saints have been designated as the home team. They will play at Stade de France in 2026. This one seemed pretty obvious. It was always going to be the Saints to be in France, right?
Yeah, it was the worst kept secret. I think even it got announced pretty much by the Saints that they were going to be in France next year, start of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that wasn't surprising. I think the amount of messages that were in our group chat, because we've got a Saints fan in our group chat. He was like, "Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
be in France next year." So
Who would willingly spend time with a Saints fan? I would have no idea who would do that. Um, you know, we know you're a Saints fan, right? It was a joke, right? Then the NFL have announced a multi-year partnership with Madrid. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know and is new, Mrs. Fletch, my wife, is a Saints fan. I just got the daggers for that one. The NFL will have announced a multi-year partnership with Madrid to host continued NFL games at the Santiago Bernabeu. This one was, I mean, I heard some not so great things about the Madrid game. It makes sense, particularly Ben Isaacs very much educated me on this, made sure I knew what the process was. I heard some not great things about it last year, just the process, and hopefully what this means actually is the NFL go for a big, can make it better and have better experience going forward. Um, but it's a good one. Like that one, having one in Madrid.
yeah, I mean it's a nice stadium, and I mean I'm not sure what the Saints fan base is like. Oh, sorry, the Spanish fan base is like in terms of the NFL, but I'm imagining that they have a relatively good support given the fact that they are going to be hosting at the Santiago Bernabeu every single year now. So, well, for a
Yeah.
number of years.
And that's the only of other than Spurs, who obviously they had like what was it, 10 million pumped into their new stadium when they built it by the NFL so they could have the retractable pitch and all that sort of stuff. The Bernabeu has very much the same thing going on. They have the
Mm.
retractable pitches. I've seen some of the videos of like the behind the scenes of when they removed the football pitch, brought up the NFL field. That's so amazing. Like it blew my mind. I'm not engineer minded whatsoever, and it just blew my mind. It's incredible. So it makes sense. It's built for that purpose
Yeah.
to be able to do that kind of thing. So it makes a lot of sense. Um, with that being announced as well, though, the NFL announced that Mexico will be getting games again. Mexico City, they'll be back there. Obviously, they were there years ago. I think it's 2016, 2017, 2018. The one of the greatest NFL games of all time, that Rams Chiefs game that ended up 54-51, was
Mhm.
meant to be in Mexico, but I think weather got in the way. Um, and then we ended up having one of the greatest NFL games of all time. Jared Goff versus Patrick Mahomes, insane game. There was like a billion yards
A
thrown for.
slugfest.
Yeah, slugfest is what we'll call it, not like a shootout of epic proportions. Um, if you are new to the NFL, by the way, I always recommend this. When people tell me like, I want to go out, spend my off season getting to know the game. Can you recommend me some games to watch? Normally they'll pay for Game Pass or something, and you get all the backlog of games. I always recommend going back and watching that one. Obviously,
Mm.
I'm not recommending a genuine defensive slugfest. I'm recommending the big shootouts and the ones with loads of controversial moments or something. But that was a great game. With all that, though, the NFL has announced that they will not be returning to Dublin this year, which has been met by a lot of sadness. Again, great things about last year's game, although they had the weird ticketing fiasco where they were releasing tickets at weird times and staggered
Mm.
releases, and couple of weeks before the game, new tickets got released. It was all a bit weird, but by all accounts, it was a great atmosphere. The NFL, both NFL teams loved it. They wanted to go back, but it makes like Madrid is bigger than Ireland
I
itself.
think
I
also
think
as well, the sales and all of that is all Steelers, isn't it? So if the Steelers didn't want to go, it's unlikely they were going to have another game in Ireland this year. And I think they'll
yeah,
be very much dependent on if the Steelers want to play a game in Ireland.
which I think they do. But given the fact that it's the NFC teams that have the 9 home games this year, it's more than likely going to be NFC teams giving up home games to play them
Yeah,
abroad. It does make sense that obviously, like I say, if it's going to be hell bent on the Steelers. Um, But Roger Goodell did say they will be returning. They will
yeah,
plan in the next few years to return to Dublin. I can personally say I haven't done an NFL game there. I've done a couple of college games there, and the atmosphere in Dublin when football arrives is electric. Um, speak to go and watch some of the college football pods that we do, and obviously as we build up to the TCU UNC game in August, we'll be going through all of that sort of stuff, and it is Dublin goes all out. When I say like it's when we were there last year in August, the WWE was on the Friday night in the centre of Dublin, and the college football game was on the Saturday. You wouldn't have had an idea. The only reason I knew WWE was in the whole weekend, the only reason I knew there was a WWE going on is because when we were in the airport, arriving on the Friday, a load of the WWE planes were in the airport because they were
yeah,
obviously bringing stuff over. So everything was geared towards the Aer Lingus Classic. So, it's one of them. I get the NFL's decision, but I also feel bad for Dublin because they turn out and they turn up for football. Um,
yeah.
the only other bit of international series news is that the away team has been confirmed for the Melbourne game.
And the
Um,
home team.
well, the home team, we already knew what the home team was going to be. Um, it was always going to be the Rams because you've got the marketing rights. It'll be the Niners that will be
Mm.
your opponents in Melbourne. That is an interesting decision. Obviously, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong in any way. Melbourne get a great game, but
Mm.
to take a divisional game out seems a bit
Yeah, I
harsh.
mean but we've seen it with other teams, haven't we? The other teams have played divisional games, so I think it's you know of all the home teams to be over in Australia, it made sense for the Rams. I mean, you know, it's not like we don't. It's not like we jam pack out SoFi Stadium every single week. Realistically, is
That's
it?
true.
So,
That's
um,
true.
whenever we play the Niners at SoFi, it's always absolutely three quarters filled with Niners fans. So this is a way of us to also not have as many fans in a separate stadium. So yeah, it
And
is what it is. But it'll be a good game. I think that we were always looking for how will the game be in these international games, and that I think will be a really good game. So you know, good that it's over in Australia, not over in England, but there you
yeah,
go.
I'm still waiting to hear on what the logistics are going to be like for game times and all that sort of stuff, just because the time zone is so off. It's
Yeah,
not computing in my head how that's going to work.
yeah. I wonder if Sean McVay's going to do one of those 24-hour flights again, like he did last time.
That was honestly that was going to be my question: is do you
Yeah,
reckon they'll get away with turning up on the Saturday again?
I don't think so. Not for that far, because it's a lot different when you're flying to like England because it's a 5 hour time difference from when they were in Baltimore the week
Yeah,
before. Whereas this is well, actually, I don't know how the flight goes from how it'll work because they could just fly over the Pacific and it's shorter distance, but it's still the time difference will be still very weird. So you never know actually if they're flying from LA to Melbourne, it may be that it works out probably like a 12-hour flight difference, but
direct flights from LAX to Melbourne typically take around 15.5 to 16.5 hours. These non-stop flights cover a distance of about 12,757 kilometers, often departing late in the evening and arriving 2 days later due to the time difference crossing international dateline.
that's well weird. So yeah, I
Imagine,
think I think they're probably going to fly like probably straight out because depending on how the schedule works, hopefully they'll have a West Coast game and then they'll just fly straight from there over to Australia. But I
yeah,
imagine it'll probably be because when will it be?
week
It'll
one,
be
wasn't it?
well, it'll be in October, November, won't it? So
Possibly. Are you sure though it
so it's
won't?
gonna
They won't
that's
try to do it week one.
I can't imagine they'll do week one. I'd be shocked if they did. It'd make more, but then because then you'd have because realistically, are they going to have a game in Australia and then have a bye week? They're not going to have a bye week in week two. So whichever game week is going to be, it's going to have to have a bye week afterwards to allow them to get back.
I mean, well, sorry, let me just, I'm just going to ask the question, right? And I don't want us to stick on it for too long. Again, we've got a whole off season. We've got a whole off season to plan this Melbourne trip for Roger Goodell because obviously he's not figured it out. No one's figured it out. We're going to be the ones that figure it out. Do it on the week one, and you have like, obviously, then you have the 2 weeks between final, like the final preseason game and the game. So you've got that time to travel too. And then if you
Yeah,
do it on the Friday night, now I don't know how it's going to work with the Brazil game and all that sort of stuff that's going on because that'll be week one of probably end up being week one of college football as well because of the way the times work this year. So you're not going to be playing on the Saturday anyway. You're just not going to compete with college football on that Saturday. So Brazil game may be on the Sunday. I can put
mm,
or bring the Brazil. You end up playing one on the Thursday, one on the Friday, but you'd have to have the Seattle Seahawks being one of the international teams if you want to play an international game. But then you're going to take away that if they win the Super Bowl, you've got to take away their first home game of the season.
yeah,
It's going to be really weird the way it figures out, but you're probably going to have to do it on week zero for the time getting there, and then you can have the extra long week and have the Rams on the Sunday, Niners on the Monday, or something like that. The next week, so you have that extra long week in between to get all the way over. The logistics are gonna be really weird to figure
I
out.
think more than anything, I wouldn't surprise me if they were if the week before either the Rams or the Niners, depending on where they play, will have a Thursday night game.
Yeah,
They'll then travel. They'll have their game potentially could be the Monday night game, Although that would take away from, I don't know how that would be, or it could be just a
Yeah.
Sunday game, and then they have the bye week the week after. I think it's more likely to be like that.
Okay.
Um, but we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. I think no matter what, I'm sure Sean McVay will come up with some weird and wonderful plan of getting us there within 24 hours before or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be.
yeah.
This is the thing. It's going to be October, November, so it's going to be middle of summer almost over there.
I have an uncle that lives in New Zealand, right? And he's lived there since like about 7 years old. And every year when we FaceTime, whatever for Christmas, and he's like, "How is it?" And I'm like, "Mate, I'm in Salford in December. It's cold. It's rainy. We might have snow. We might not. We don't know. It's just a bit miserable. What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just getting ready to go to the go for a barbecue on the beach."
Yeah.
Go away, you're ruining Christmas. Anyway, that's less about my family at Christmas time and more back onto the football. Just a couple of the little things that have been announced and said. Um, Roger Goodell also spoke about the potential of moving to 16 international games in a season. That's been spoken about. That's the main plan for the NFL right now. They mentioned 18 regular season games, which Roger Goodell had said has like they've mentioned it, but that's not on the immediate periphery of anyone in the NFL. Those conversations, the CBA that's currently been signed between the NFL and the NFLPA and all that sort of stuff. That runs out in I think it's 2031, so they're gonna have to go to the table before that. So we'll see when that. Um, the NFLPA have come out and said that they are no player wants to do an 18 game regular season. No one wants that. They also they haven't really spoken on international games. Apparently, according to some of these reporters, um, you know, these NFC offensive player that's unnamed, whatever, no team attached to them, has said that they think the NFL is doing too much internationally and all that sort of stuff. But they've also said that players don't want Thursday games; they want to get rid of Thursday games. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of things like that.
I get that about the Thursday games because it seems it's almost like at least, especially depending on who's in those Thursday games, is if it's a team like LA uh or any of sort of the West Coast teams, I feel like they get screwed over the most by the Thursday games because majority of our games on the West Coast are 9:30 or the 1 o'clock game on us, but from our
Yeah,
side, those times on a Sunday, they're the later kickoffs on the Sunday, which means they get even less time for then the Thursday night game.
yeah,
Um, but thing is, we've had Thursday night games for a long time now. You'd think that they'd be used to it by now. I know they
yeah,
don't like it, but you kind of the only thing that you could maybe do is if you're going to make sure that you're on a Thursday night game, is that it's a team that's come off a bye, so at least that you know they've already had the week's rest.
yeah. I mean, again, this is something we can get into on another day. What
Yeah,
Thursday nights are and all that sort of stuff. I Selfishly, I like them. They're normally crap games, but it's an extra day of football. I don't mind getting rid of the NFL ones on the basis of we get our weekday conference USA, but that's for the college pod to talk about. Because I'm more than happy to watch. I'd rather sit there and watch Kent State and or Kennesaw State or whoever does turn up on a Thursday play that game instead and give them the thing. I get a lot of the arguments for it from the data, from the science, and all that sort of stuff. Again, we're not going to focus on that. We're going to move on to the next pieces of news, which are less about what's going on Super Bowl week, because as it stands, for about a minute, I don't want to talk about it. Some of our good friends that we both know that we've got within this industry are over in San Francisco right now. I'm
mm,
sick and tired of watching them all have a good time and enjoy themselves in San Francisco, because I'm jealous and I
yeah.
want to be there. So I'm
And
going to
Andy
ask,
Davis having Pat McAfee on his
yeah,
thing
it's
really pissed
disgusting,
me
quite
off.
honest, to be quite honest. In
how,
the
how dare he enjoy himself?
No, I'm telling you, like, why go out there and enjoy? Why rub it in that you're having a good time? I don't want you to get. food poisoning or anything. I don't want anything that's going to ruin your week, but just stop showing me how great it is because I'm really jealous. No, I'm not joking. I'm so glad they're all having a great time. Not just Andy as well, though. The Talking Balls guys, the PFI guys, Touchdown are down there. They're all having a great time, and it is amazing to see. And particularly when you look at the way that they've been treated by a lot of the guys who they've spoke to, whether it's Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, by the way, spent 2 hours after we recorded his show on Radio Row, 2 hours just answering questions to young upcoming journalists from around the world. And he wasn't giving like, they weren't like, oh, so what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl? It wasn't like, oh yeah, whatever. These were long, well thought out answers. He was giving people the genuine time of day. So for everything people give him crap for, I enjoy watching him on College Game Day. I think Pat McAfee's been a breath of
I
fresh,
like that
and he
McAfee.
cares about people, and he wants to do right by people, which is always good to see.
Mm.
People like that are much needed. And anyway, less about this. Isn't a blowing smoke up McAfee's backside podcast. A couple of the pieces of news that did come through: the Arizona Cardinals have hired their head coach. It is Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Um,
Yeah,
Good to see him go, I'm guessing, but it's about time that Mike LaFleur got a head coaching position, probably.
yeah, it's a shame to see him go, but to be honest, I mean, I've kind of stopped. Although it's sad to see like your OCs and you know that go, but I'm so used to it now because you know we're in an era where McVay is top two, if not the best coach in the NFL. His OCs, his the coaches under his tree are always going to get poached. We've seen it with Raheem Morris. Shula was on the list, short list interviews for a lot of teams. Obviously, Mike LaFleur is now gone. We lost our QB coach to the Falcons last year. You know, there are other coaches out there. I don't really worry about the offensive side of it because majority of it goes through McVay anyway.
Yeah,
Um, it's more bringing in a decent defensive coach. But it looks like Shula's going to be staying another year, so that's
yeah,
not a
yeah.
problem this year.
I think as well, though, if you've got someone like Matt Stafford, when you've got McVay, and but you also then put yourself in the position of having someone like Matthew Stafford, they are two people that kind of doesn't matter who you
They
hire as
coach
OC.
themselves, yeah.
It does matter who you hire as OC, but it also doesn't matter who you hire as your OC because Stafford can run an offense on his own. And
Mm.
you see it in you look at them 2 minute drills and how many fourth quarter comebacks he has. Why? Because when you're in the rush, you're often telling Matt Stafford, right, you call plays at the line. Essentially, when you're in a rush, Matt Stafford's calling a lot of them plays as he sees them, and then obviously with him changing the plays at the line and stuff like that. Anyway, so one of Matt Stafford's quality, ability to read the game, how long he's been in the NFL for now, you naturally confident anyway, so you don't think too much is going to change. Um,
No.
as good as they are,
On Matthew Stafford, I know it's a bit early to say, but it looks like he is going to return next year.
lovely,
Things are trending towards him returning next year. He said he had because
lovely.
he was talking before and he said this is one of the you know obviously with everything that went on in the off season, would he come back? Wouldn't he come back? His back injury and that. He said he'd never had a better season overall, like in terms of fitness and just general, you know, actual output than he has this year. So he says from what the news in the background, it's all looking like he's going to return next year, which also means that potentially Tay returns next year as well. So
Yeah.
looks like we could be trying to run it back.
Um, but he's an MVP finalist, and I can't remember the last time he was an MVP finalist, if he ever was. So I don't think he ever was when he was with the Lions.
I
Um,
don't think he has. No, he was an MVP finalist when Tom Brady got it. The year when he was
right.
at the Buccaneers, because there was him and Stafford. I think they both had something like 45 touchdowns each or something ridiculous. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty
he was
sure he
with the
was a
Lions that
finalist
year as
then.
well, though. He was with the Lions that year as well. Um,
Not the
because
year he was at the Bucks,
first or second year
second year,
when he won the
the year
Super
when they
Bowl.
won it.
No, it was because I remember it because the Bucks that year on Boxing Day, I think it was, absolutely clattered the Lions. It was like 45-10 at home to the Bucks. We lost to the Bucks. And it was when Darryl Bevel was the interim head coach because they just fired Patricia. And I remember because I was on another podcast at the time that was very much centered around Lions, and I was one of the only ones because it was again Christmas Day, Boxing Day, whatever, that actually sat and watched the game, and I went on a rant and a half because of how pathetic that was
Yeah, but
by the Lions.
I'm
Um,
gonna I'm gonna look it up while we talk.
no worries. Well, real quick then, they have also hired in Arizona OC Nathaniel Hackett. You might remember Nathaniel as the former Denver Broncos head coach. Um, he was the Green Bay Packers offensive coordinator under Matt LaFleur for 3 years. Now goes to be the offensive coordinator under Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur, at the Arizona Cardinals. Um, Obviously, like his time in Denver was terrible. He only lasted one season. Um, and in fact, I don't even think he
No,
lasted the full season.
this is his first year. Matt Stafford's first year as MVP finalist.
Okay, yeah. I want to say I thought so. I can't remember him ever
Yeah,
being under it when he was a Lion, when he was a Lion. Even in some of those seasons that he had where he was the only reason we won a bloody
yeah,
game
but
in general was because he was there.
you were asked for that reason. A
Yeah,
bit
but
like what Joe Burrow said, you can't be an MVP if you're playing on a losing team.
um, but it's just some of the things he was doing. But anyway, like Nathaniel Hackett, he's been hired as the OC, previously under Matt LaFleur, now under Mike LaFleur. The New York Jets have hired offensive coordinator Frank Reich. You might remember Frank from God, make him sound like Troy McClaw then. But he was the Carolina Panthers head coach for a year. He was the Indianapolis Colts head coach for 4 or 5 seasons. He was the After he left the Panthers in 2023, he then went to college football. He was the interim head coach at Stanford this year. Did a really good job at Stanford, and they absolutely loved him. He went 4-8, but they loved him at Stanford, and he was what's his name? Who's the GM now at Stanford? Because colleges have GMs now. Andrew Luck. Um, he was part of what Andrew Luck brought to the thing, and they just needed 1 year of stability, and Frank Reich brought it. Um, but yeah, now he's there at the Jets. That's a big hire for Aaron Glenn,
Yeah,
I
huge.
think. And they played together, believe it or not, because Frank Reich was a quarterback in the NFL for a long time. The year he was at the Jets in 1996, Aaron Glenn was also at the Jets as a player. So they played together, which is quite a fun little tidbit on that one. Jonathan Gannon, just fired as the Arizona Cardinals head coach, has been named the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator. And finally, 13-year Eagles offensive lineman coach Jeff Stoutland is leaving the Eagles because whoever they bring, I can't remember. I think they have hired someone. They're bringing in their own staff
Yeah,
across the board. So, I mean, offensive line coaches aren't someone we tend to report on, but 13 years with one team is a huge thing, man. It's impressive,
yeah.
and he's some of those Eagles O
I was
line,
going to say
including.
he had numerous years where they were the best O line in the league for years.
And you've got what Mailata, the Australian guy who's playing for them, who's a beast. He's had Jason Kelsey. He's had countless just insane old linemen
Who was
throughout that
the
time.
who was the other one on the other side? What's he called? Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson, yep, that's the one. Um, Also insane. Just some of the players that he's coached have been some of the best old linemen to play the game. So it makes a lot of sense it makes a lot of sense that he's had a career that spanned that long and not been cut. Um, that's it for news. Have you got anything else before we move on?
The only thing was that I had was the where was it? If I can find it again. Um, Tyler Shook has been named Pepsi Max's Rookie of the Year. It's
Yeah,
essentially a um, fan voted Rookie of the Year, essentially. So, um, the Pepsi Zero Sugar NFL Rookie of the Year award
yeah.
for 2025. It's fan voted award over fellow nominees Jackson Dart, Treveyon Henderson, Ashton Genty, and Ted McMillan and Carson Schwessinger. Um, so yeah, interesting one. I
Yeah.
don't think it'll have any bearing on who gets the um, offensive rookie of the year this year, but at least he's won something.
Which, by the way, the NFL honors are tonight at the point of recording. So by the time this is out, the NFL honors will have been out. MVP will know who that is. Probably, hopefully, Stafford will know who the rookie of the years are. All that stuff.
Ten Schwessinger, it should be.
It has to be Schlesinger and the
Yeah,
defensive rookie of the year. It has to be. I
but I
can't.
think there's been some good defensive rookies though, like Emanwari and
Yes.
James Pearce. I think we're also very much in the conversation. But I think probably what stands out with Schwessinger is the fact that he's just been pretty much a start, like almost like a starter from week one, and does not look like he isn't a NFL like starter from the
Yeah.
off, and he put up regular good performances.
Yeah. I mean, I said it last week, didn't I? I said when we brought him up, Carl Schlesinger, that when he played the Lions this year, I went on Ollie's channel because Ollie from the review show, he does his Browns content and posts Brown specific stuff on there. If you didn't know he was a Browns fan, by the way, he doesn't mention it very often. Um, we were talking about the game. We talked afterwards. We talked before, and just how impressed I was with him. You don't think he's a rookie when he plays. He's just so good at
Yeah, he
the
carries himself well,
fundamentals, but
doesn't
he's
he?
also everywhere on the field.
Yeah.
Um, if he had a football chant, it would be that is every fucking where Schlesinger.
Mm.
So yeah, those NFL honors are tonight. I will probably, just because the way my sleep is stupid, try to miss it, end up watching it, and then be really annoyed with myself because my sleep's still messed up and blame everyone else but myself. So moving on, we want to get onto it now. This is the most important bit. This is the number one bit. On Sunday, there will be a game of football. That game of football will go on to decide the champions of the entire NFL season. AFC champions, New England Patriots. NFC champions, the Seattle Seahawks face off. Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. Like it's the number one game. It's the best game of the year. It
Mm.
Everything builds to this, as I said in the intro, that was so well scripted by myself. By the way, you'd think that top Hollywood scripters had wrote it. I did actually. Sam. That was all me. Um, we'll start with the Patriots. I want to start with the Patriots. I want to start by, we'll have a couple of minutes on the journey to get here first, right? We'll start with the Patriots and the two things. I've got one ground rule for what we're allowed and we're not allowed to say, right? We beat the dead horse now. We're not gonna beat the dead horse of the schedule and how easy it was and how and all that sort of stuff. What I will give and what I will start us on for the Patriots and how they got here, second best in points per game allowed, 17.3. The Drake May's second year, forget what the schedule looks like. He's looked like a consummate professional all year. The throws he's been making, the decisions he's been making, and what Mike Vrabel has been able to do for him is fantastic. He looks like a completely different player, very much like an NFL player now. And that defense as well has stepped up to no end. Just how good that
Mm.
defense has been among the fact that you've had the rise of Keishon Butte. Trevion Henderson's been fantastic this year. It really feels like they've been able to get so many different things going across the board. take away that schedule, they still have looked impressive as a team.
Yeah, I mean they've like we've all, I mean we've said from I said a few weeks back, and I don't know that we sort of probably focus more on the schedule as a bit of a tidbit to flog a horse with, but it
Yeah.
was more, you know, you can only play what's in front of you, and they were so bad for 2 years
Yeah.
that they were bound to have an easy schedule, and you know you've still got to give them credit. They still went and won 14 games. Doesn't matter how easy your schedule is, you've still got to go and win 14 games. Not only to win 14 games, but then to beat two of the best defenses that we've seen this year, like in the playoffs,
Yeah.
beating the Texans. Again, granted that, with all the side notes of that game in terms of CJ Stroud fully shit in the bed
Yeah.
um, in that game and stuff. And, but you just got to give them credit. At the end of the day, you can only beat what's in front of you, and they've done well to do so far. The defense has got better like game on game. You know, I'd put an argument to say that Christian Gonzalez has probably been one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and even the likes of, is it Christian Ellis? Is that his name? Is it Christian Ellis, or I can't remember what his first name is. Ellis, though. I'm gonna have to look it up now. Ellis Patriots. I don't know what his first name is. Yeah, Christian Ellis. It was Christian Ellis. Yeah, Christian Ellis has been fantastic, and especially in those playoff games, the destruction that he was causing to those O lines in terms of the way he was playing, he just looked phenomenal. And I think, like I say, they've just kind of grown game on game, and you know they've had to take a few licks in terms of what we've said about, do they actually deserve to be there and all of this. But like I say, they've beaten two of the best defenses in the league this year. So can you really argue with them as to deserving to be there? And I think whether you sort of see the team, I think you probably, like I say, there's probably been a few players that have really stood out. I think Keishon Boutte, we look at back to his when he got drafted. I think before the draft, I think everyone had him much higher than he went but only dropped because of the issues that he had off the field in terms of his supposed attitude and approach to the game, and obviously that meant him dropping down in the draft. First year wasn't particularly great, didn't really get any views, or didn't really get any snaps because of the developing his game and whatnot. And this year he's kind of had, I suppose, what we would class as a breakout year, and really,
Yeah.
so in terms of being given the option in that wide receiver 2 spot to kind of make it his own. And he sort of has, in a way. I don't think he's fully made it, and there's still a lot to improve and that, but he certainly made a case to be the wide receiver 2 in that roster. Even the likes of like Carl Williams, I think he's had a good year. Again, coming
Yeah.
on sort of as was this his rookie year, or was it the year? It's his second year. I think it's his rookie year. Could be wrong. But again, he's had a good couple of snaps in his performances. Obviously, we've seen Stefon Diggs, his return to a little bit of probably about 75% of where he was before he left the Bills and all of that. So again, good to see him sort of performing well. And
So,
yeah, Drake
sorry, do you
May, I
mean
think
Kyle Williams?
Kyle Williams, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
rookie.
what I said, wasn't it?
Kyle Williams.
No, I did
I'm
say
looking.
Kyle, which is the way
I'm
I said
looking at an
Kyle.
Australian criminal here, thinking, "Who the
I,
bloody hell are you on about?"
I did say Kyle. It's just the way I say Kyle.
Ah, sorry, I
Uh,
apologise for my ignorance on your accent.
um, so yeah, it's obviously been an interesting season for them, and they've done well to get where they are. I think you know numerous. Obviously, Drake May has been certainly deserving of being in the MVP conversation. Vrabel, I think, has again very much deserves being in that Coach of the Year conversation as well. So yeah, just as much as we've ribbed them for everything this year, they've done very well, and they'll still be a good test in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Um, I think it's a couple of the things that have come from the Patriots though is like just Drake. No quarterback in the NFL has a higher passer rating this year than Drake May.
Mhm.
He's what fourth in yards. Um, where have they gone? Nope, that's the lowest. Yeah, fourth in passing yards. The touchdown interception is 31-8 ratio, so that's nearly 4-1 in terms of the actual ratio, which is a damn good, very, very, very good ratio. 72% completion rate. Then add in the fact that he's got the ability to scramble with his legs and got the ability to get going with his legs. And the fact that, yes, they've got Stephon Diggs, who is a fantastic wide receiver talent, a very much an NFL veteran who we lauded over for years for his on-field talent. Very little for anything else has he been lauded. But in the nicest way possible, that isn't an all-star wide receiver cast.
Oh no.
Keishon Butte at the start of the year, if you would have asked people what they thought about Butte, the answer would have been different, right? They would have been talking about wide receiver. Um, he hasn't had the all-star cast. What they've had though, and what is arguably the most underrated and undervalued part of the NFL, and we've seen so many teams in every team sport, and you look at even Indiana this year in college football. Yes, talent matters, right? Talent absolutely matters. But so does team cohesion, getting the right guys in, making sure they're coached well, making sure the game plan is right. You look at Indiana, who went to who just won the national championship with a load of three-star recruits. It was because they brought in the right guys. It was because they were
Mm.
coached well. It was because they didn't have an all-star cast. What they had was a well coached, well drilled, well put together cast. And that's what the Patriots are, and that's what Mike Vrabel has done in instilling the discipline that he has as well. And there was one stat I wanted to get up, but I totally forgot to Google it. There we go. No, I do not consent. Um, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th in the league in penalties against. And God, I'm gonna get into an argument here. Someone's not gonna like this one if it turns out to be the way it looked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 as well in beneficiary of penalties that are benefit. Okay, 11th isn't the greatest, but I believe that going off like 2024, when you look at how many penalties were against New England. No, my whole point has just been shot. My whole point I was going to make was that he's made them a lot better disciplined. They slightly about the same amount of penalties, but in comparison to the rest of the league last year, they were further down. Um, it's about remaining, but it has been, and they felt like at least a more disciplined team as well.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's probably been there just seems, yeah, like I say, there's very much a team cohesion to it. It feels more like a, so you're going to draw comparisons. It feels like a Leicester City title win sort of season. They're all just
Kinda, yeah,
pulling in the same direction, and kind of just being very well coached and being very well sort of, like I say, that cohesive unit, and knowing them which way to pull together and that. And you've got to give Vrabel credit for that, for instilling that sort of culture
absolutely.
into back into the Patriots. Um, and there was obviously all the talk about who they were going to bring in before they decided to go with Vrabel. Obviously, they went with Jared Mayer beforehand, and it just didn't really work out. And I think a lot of people, in a way, did question the Vrabel signing in a bit. and just kind of thought, because he was linked, there with during the Belichick years, and people just thought, is he really the right thing to almost reinvigorate the Patriots back to what they were? And I think there were some question marks around that, not around his ability to coach. He was still seen as, he's still considered one of the better coaches in the league. It was more just a fact of were they going to stick within the same routine of going from Belichick to Mayo to Vrabel, just still under that similar tree, or were they going to start to try and look to change it all up again? And I think the good thing is that Vrabel has come in with his own personality, his own views, but his understanding of who the Patriots are, what the Patriots mean, and brought back that sort of, like I say, that culture of winning, I suppose, really.
Yeah. Um, the one other thing before we get onto the Seahawks is what I find really interesting is the time to throw, right? And I'm going to go back to 2024 real quick. Thank you to Next Gen Stats for this. Last year, where's it gone? See, I've got to scroll down now. This is one that I actually feel like I can make the point that I want to make. Um, Drake May had 2.74 seconds to throw on average. Um, that was way down the list. Unfortunately, it doesn't let me choose by the amount of snaps someone's taken or anything like that. It just basically anyone who's thrown the ball. So, or at least thrown the ball a few times as a quarterback. So there are like from last year, Jacoby Brissett's in there ahead of him. Aiden O'Connell's in there ahead of him. Like Deshaun Watson's in there ahead of him. Um, Talking guys who've not had many. Well, some of the guys in there have not had many snaps. Some obviously did have quite a few snaps, but like last year, had 2.74 seconds to throw the ball. This year, in 2025, I've got to restart again. He was eighth with 2.97 seconds to throw the ball. The only people ahead of him were Jalen Hurts, Cam Ward, Lamar Jackson, JJ McCarthy, Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams, and Shador Sanders. Shador Sanders coming out top with 3.24 seconds to throw the ball.
He still manages to throw interceptions,
He does crazy.
even in
Um,
Pro Bowls.
that's not for today. That's not a conversation for today. I watched some of that Pro Bowl. It was fun. Um,
I know Puka got a touchdown. That was all
he
I
did.
cared about.
Um,
The new swanky hairstyle.
yeah. The but yeah, all I wanted to say was like he's got on average now 0.23 seconds more to throw in the pocket, which I believe when someone made a point about this on the college pod very, very early on in the college pod days, in the NFL, you are lucky to get 3 seconds. Very lucky to get 3 seconds. So 0.23 seconds is a lot of time. That's the forward arm motion. That's one extra step. That there's a lot of things. And I'm gonna sound like I'm compensating for something here, but 0.23 seconds is a lot of time here, Sam. It's a lot of time.
Well,
Uh,
it's almost 10% extra time in the pocket.
yeah, absolutely. So the fact is, the old line has then been has given him a lot more time, and he's had a bit, and he and his awareness and the way he navigates the pocket has given him more time and bought him more time. So those things are improvements. Now I'll go into the Seahawks a little bit, and just talk about kind of the Seahawks journey to the Super Bowl. My first thing is an apology, right? I need to apologize, and you'd think I'd apologize to the other team first because of all the crap that we've fed about them over the last few weeks. I'm not sorry about that. I have been getting someone's name wrong for months. And I mean months. And it wasn't until I watched an interview with this gentleman this week that I actually realised his name is not Aiden Durd, it's Adon Durde. Although most people call him AD, it is Adon Durde. Yeah, we've been calling him Aiden Durd this whole time, and that's my fault because I set that precedent. So I want to apologise to the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator, British born, London, Baffer originating Adam Durd. Adnan Derde, for my incorrect pronunciation of your name. You'd think the one person in the entire league whose name would get right would be this one, because it
Yeah,
means a
but
person it means the
it's
most.
also
But
not exactly the most English of names, is it?
not traditionally, no.
It's not a traditional English name.
Al Murray would have a joke about it. I think that's whereabout I would settle on that. So I they also go 14-3, and it's the Sam Darnold redemption arc that he has been on for 2 years now. And you look at last year, he was with the Vikings, he went 14-3. He had the game at the end of the season where it was against another team that was 13-2. Sorry, 14-2. You can go, you can win the division and get the number one seed, or you can be fifth seed. And he lost that one to when he was at the Vikings to the guys who won the division last year in the NFC North. I can't remember who it was. I'm gonna have to let that come to me. But he lost that one. People questioned his bottle. You look at the fact that Kwesi Mensa, the Vikings GM, has been fired this week, and part of that is because of the decision to not bring back Sam Darnold, who's gone to the Seattle, had an absolute barnstorming season, seen the rise of Jackson Smith and Jigba as part of that, and he's gone and done everything that he couldn't previously do or didn't previously do when he was at the Vikings, and well, gone them steps further. Just how that's the story of the season, I think, more than anything for the Seattle Seahawks, is the Sam Darnold redemption arc that he's been on.
Yeah, and even as to far as to say that even in season, you look at those first two games against us, or the regular season games against us, and then the performance he put in the NFC Championship. Even that just shows how far he's come in terms of overcoming the demons, so to speak. But he has looked like he belongs in the NFL now. I think
Yeah.
for a number of years he hasn't really looked like he belonged. Obviously, all the issues with the Jets, but then obviously the Panthers, and then he got his chance at the Vikings and had a brilliant season until he shit the bed against us. And then this season he's kind of been a bit up and down. He still had his moments, but then he's got towards the end of the season and it just
Yeah.
seemed like something clicked and it was non-stop after that. And again, as much as I've kind of given some of my Seahawks friends shit about how bad he's played against us, he's fully turned it around, and
Yeah.
he deserves to be there. And I think the only thing is, I think if you look at who the year he was drafted, didn't he drafted the same year as some very good
Yep.
quarterbacks, and he is the first
To make
to
the
make
Super
it to
Bowl.
a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And was that the year that? Which
Lamar
year was that?
Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
And on the 2018 draft, let's go player selections. So the first pick of the 2018 draft was Baker Mayfield to the Cleveland
Yeah,
Browns. He's not been. The next quarterback off the board was pick number 3. That was Sam Darnold to the New York Jets. Then it was at number 8, the Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen.
yeah.
Then at number 10, the Cardinals select Josh Rosen, which is, we've not heard that name in a long time. Um, Going down, 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 down. Keep going, keep going,
Pick
keep going.
32.
Number 32, Lamar Jackson to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Um, then who's the next one off the board? I mean, we're done, pretty much done there, realistically, with quarterbacks. There wasn't one for quite a while, I don't think. Um,
No, the next quarterback was Mason Rudolph from the Steelers.
yeah,
And then the next one after that, probably no. Kyle Lawletta from the New York Giants was the next one. So
yeah,
after that, we kind of just we're not really caring
yeah.
about anyone else.
Yeah, you start getting to silly season. Like
Yeah, Mike White to the Cowboys.
Logan Woodside to the Bengals. Like, yeah, you're getting into the point where at the end of the day, like this is it, right? He's the only one from that draft to have made it. Um, so far to a Super Bowl, which is crazy to think of again when you thought that his career was dead just a few years ago. Um,
And the fact that you've had what multi MVP winner and a single and a last year's MVP winner, and neither of them have reached a Super Bowl before Sam Darnold, who's you know everyone was talking about the fact that his career was over until he decided to grow a beard for and put up a good couple of performances at the Panthers.
yeah.
So
The other thing I'll say on Sam Darnold as well, though, by the way, is the only reason he got the starting position in Minnesota was because JJ McCarthy got injured. They
yeah,
fully planned on having rookie JJ McCarthy start for the 49, not for the 49ers, for the Vikings that season and last season. And then obviously, he tears his ACL in pre-season. It's the only reason Sam Darnold starts. So I'm not saying no one should ever celebrate an injury, especially not to a Michigan man. But for Sam Darnold, if that injury never happens, this Sam Darnold may likely never arrive.
mm,
We don't get the Minnesota Vikings year of Sam Darnold where he leads them to 14-3 into the playoffs, only to get bounced. We then don't get him. They don't then put the Vikings in that position. Do we go with JJ McCarthy, our first round pick? Or do we stick with Sam Darnold and they make the choice to go with JJ McCarthy, which has been a decision. It's definitely been a decision for them. Um, and so he doesn't go to the Seattle Seahawks and then go have the year he's got. He's a free agent at the end of the year, by the way. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are making the same mistake as the Vikings did.
well, we'll see.
Um, well, it depends because they've got a. Well, actually, we'll get into that in a second because
They've got they've got they've got 84 million in the cap. They're one of the highest, so I'm sure they'll end up paying him.
you don't just let a quarterback who's led you to a Super Bowl
Well, especially if they win
walk.
it. If they win it, are they really going to let him go?
You
So
should. You've got to fight whoever makes that decision. I'm sorry, you just can't. Um, then you talk about the fact that they've got, and I mentioned this, the Patriots had the second best points per game allowed in 2025. Well, that's because number one was the Seattle Seahawks with 17.1 points per game allowed. That defense has been monstrous. And the fact is, they've led with a four-man front all season. They have barely needed to send more than four men down because the defense that's been put in place by Mike McCarthy, by Mike McDonald, sorry, by Adam Durde, and by the personnel that they've got has been incredible.
yeah, I mean, one of the things that I remember came out just before the NFC Championship game around the decision making. I can't remember whether it was Adam or whether it was Mike McDonald that made the decision, but they took down all of the Legion of Boom stuff within Lumen Field
Yeah,
because they wanted that defense to make their own name and not
yeah,
be constantly pressurized by the Legion of Boom. Now, it's clearly worked because they've arguably been one of the top three defense in the league. Um, so I think it has really worked, and they've bar the odd mistake, aka Reek Woolen and his silly taunts that he's done this year. I think three of them or five of them are sort of ridiculous. Um, apart from that, there's been barely any mistakes made by that Seattle defense, and they have just been unbelievable in terms of their ability to stop play. I mean, even you look at what happened in the first Rams game, and they had four. Was it Sam Darnold had four turnovers, and they still were
yeah.
within 2 points of that game. It just shows you how good that defense is. Um, and like you say, I think that one of the good things, although it kind of unfortunately hasn't sort of worked out for Charbonnet towards the end of the year, that running game has been really good as well. That tandem between Charbonnet and Walker has worked really well. Obviously, I think Walker's had to kind of obviously take the load now that Charbonnet's gone down. But even since he went down, I mean, Walker has looked really good. He's a very physical runner, has really sort of put in the hard yards and sort of I think that's allowed Sam Darnold to be a bit freer in his ability to make throws because
Yeah,
one of the things that we saw is they couldn't get the running game going in the early part of the season, and the defense wasn't, although it was still good, was still putting up like was still giving up points. So it was forcing Sam Darnold to have to throw, and that was where all the issues were coming from. Whereas I think when that defense started really standing up and the running game started getting going, it allowed Sam Darnold to have less pressure to be able to throw the ball. And you started seeing him throw more yards, less interceptions, more touchdowns, and more completions. And I think that that's really helped. Um,
yeah,
I think they've on pretty much on all three phases this year, they've been brilliant. I mean, obviously, you can talk about Rashid Shaheed and his ability to, you
yeah,
know, run the ball in terms of special teams. Again, that's another thing that probably is we talk about the differences in fine margins in games. His ability to run the ball is going to be key. But I think in terms of this Super Bowl, it's going to be fun to watch special teams because you've got
yeah,
Rashid Shaheed on one side, and then you've got Marcus Jones on the other, who is proving to be just as good.
yeah,
So we could see some really interesting plays on special teams, or we could see two kicking teams that basically don't allow anyone to run the ball back. So
yeah. Just keep kicking it for touchbacks. Don't give Shaheed or Marcus Jones the opportunity to run out and make a play.
yeah,
Take the touchback. It's okay. And it's one of those ones where, obviously, like I said, both offenses have the ability to make very good things happen. But both of these teams are built on defense, and it's the special teams that are putting offenses in great positions to be able to do great things. It's weird to think that offense might be very good, but the third best department on the field on the day.
yeah.
It's weird to think that that might be the case. And again, that's not taken away from the offense. That's just how good these defenses are and the special teams are. Um, I want to point now just towards the actual game itself. We've spoke about how the Seahawks have got here, but the way they have, the Patriots have got here the way they have. We'd be remiss if we don't mention the fact that it is a rematch of Super Bowl 49. I have mentioned a few times about my affinity to that Super Bowl in particular. Many people will speak about how much they remember of that Super Bowl. It's been all week. All I've heard is the name Malcolm Butler, Malcolm Butler, Malcolm Butler. Um, Obviously, people talking about Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, and why the whole they run it all the way down to the one, and then they don't use him and run it one more time, and that whole thing spoke about this is a different Super Bowl. These are two completely different teams. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there isn't a single player on either of these teams who was on the roster of that game.
No, definitely not.
No. See, sometimes you just find that there's one player who
Yeah,
was
I
drafted
don't
that
think there
year,
is,
and
as far as I'm aware, because it's a very young Seahawks team, bar a couple of more older players who weren't there. Like obviously Cooper Cup definitely wasn't there, and probably some of the old like Dexter Lawrence definitely wasn't there.
yeah.
So they've got players that are experienced, but have been experienced on other teams.
Yes. I want to say sometimes you sometimes you do just find that one. I didn't check. Sometimes you find someone was drafted that year and they've somehow managed to have like a 40 odd year NFL career with the one team that's gone
Yeah, no, I
unnoticed.
don't think there is anyone.
So this isn't the same game. This isn't the same two teams. They are just two teams who have the same logo. And there are two battles this week that I think have been understated, right? And I'm going to start with the first one, the first battle that I noticed. Now, what do you know about the Seattle Seahawks this week, Sam? What
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 what do you
what
mean?
what what's been spoken about with regards to the Seattle Seahawks this week, Sam?
I don't know what has
The
been.
the news that has come out that they have to sell the team after the Super Bowl.
Oh yes, yes. They're saying the season that it's been put up for sale, and it's. I think there's rumors that Jeff Bezos is considering buying them.
Yeah. There are a couple other things that have kind of come out. Robert Kraft, um, I think there's a video. So there has been a newsworthy lot of items that have been made available to a lot of people, right? Something very, very, very newsworthy that I'm not gonna actually state what it is, but I implore you to think of the arguably the most newsworthy thing that's happened this week. 3 million newsworthy items that have been released this week. Russell Wilson was named from his time at the Seattle Seahawks in one of those 3 million newsworthy items and a private jet that was put in place. The argument has resurfaced this week that has been known for months and months and months that the Seattle Seahawks will be hosting a World Cup game. The Seattle area will be hosting one of those games as the Pride event, the LGBTQIA plus Pride event, that just so happens to be the game where it is Iran versus Egypt. That has all kicked off this week and
Yeah.
resurfaced this week. So Seattle itself has not been mentioned in the nicest of ways or has been surrounded by a few different things. And now I'm not going to sit here and tell you that one of those things is controversial. But unfortunately, it's made to be controversial. Um, Someone, I think, is slipping Fox and slipping NBC and all those things. Media battles, right? And media portrayals of so Seattle walk into Super Bowl week and immediately have to deal with the team's up for sale. Russell Wilson bought a nefarious private jet, and now there's an argument over one of the World Cup games. That's what they walk into.
Yeah, it's a lot of off field noise. Um, I mean, it's I don't think it's necessarily going to affect the players, but it is going to, like you say, it feels like it's driving a narrative in the media, and it's almost like it reminds me of the Brady Patriots era of just the media just I don't know, for want of a better word, shoving their noses up the Patriots' asses in a way and trying to
Yeah,
find anything to rock the boat with Seattle, which is ironic because I think probably the majority of fans or NFL fans probably do not want the Patriots to win, given the fact of their recent dominance in the NFL.
yeah. Um, and again, look, I'm not here. There are certain things I'm here to say and not here to say. But like I say, at the end of the day, these are news stories that circulate, hit the media, and I promise you, some of those questions have been asked this week, or reporters have tried to ask those questions. It provides a distraction. It provides something
Yeah,
that makes some of these players or some of these people within the Seahawks feel like they may have to defend at some point. And it just provides an extra thing. So it's part of a psychological battle at the end of the day. And
yeah,
we does Robert Kraft have certain friends within the media? Maybe. Yes, he does. Let's not pretend he's a billionaire. Let's not pretend he has friends in media,
yeah,
who can pump stories out and can make stories a little bit louder than they probably need to be. Um, but there's just a couple of things that attract that you can think to try and throw them up. So the media battle, Patriots are winning already, right?
yeah,
Now to get onto the actual football itself, I saw there's a really interesting and very intricate piece of analysis that has been put forward by the world class Tony Romo, because when former NFL players come into it, you don't want to listen to Tom Brady talk and break down a game. You want to listen to Tony Romo, and I'm going to give you the we're going to start here, right, for in-game in-depth analysis of this game. Tony Romo came out the other day and he was like, one thing you need to watch is one of these teams is going to sit two high safeties. One of these teams is going to start the game by pulling one safety in towards the line, right? The team that sits two high safeties at pre-snap, the offensive team wants to run the ball. That's the key to the game. So Tony Romo's just his incredible analysis of this game has been: if the team is playing two high safeties with a light box, run the ball, and that will win you the game. This is Tony Romo, right? So
yeah. I mean,
shall we run off
it's
this incredible analysis and break this down dramatically for everybody?
it's just not that basic. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, as someone who's watched the Seahawks defense enough this year, it may look like they have two high safeties and then they may switch it down. Like they're constantly moving that team around. Like I'm like watching how they decide. Like I suppose like navigate teams is completely like I've not seen a lot of it in the NFL in terms of the way that they scheme and the way that they, you know, pull players from different positions and sort of bring players in and,
Yeah.
pull players out and that. It's so different. And I just think that to just say that, oh, well, if they play two high safeties, you can run the ball and you'll probably win the Super Bowl is just not with these defenses. It just doesn't work like
So are you telling me that former NFL quarterback and
that.
multi-millionaire broadcaster Tony Romo has oversimplified the game and he's not the most in-depth and well thought out
I
analysis
mean,
of the
I'm not
game?
going to say that he's not knowledgeable, but
I mean, I would go as far as to say that like I very much that's just so oversimplified. One of the best
it's
things about
massively
this
everything.
One of the things I think is the best thing about this Seahawks defense and why I'm going to be very respectful to the Patriots though and say that I don't see a world in which they win this game. I really don't. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. The Seahawks are just that much better. But what I'm looking at is like the Seahawks very rarely rush more than four, right? They have a four-man rush, and that does that directly the job it needs to do. They're not the team you look at when you look at teams and go, "Whoa, they get lots and lots of sacks. The quarterback can't do anything." You think of the Cleveland Browns. You think of
We're the
um,
Cleveland Browns.
you think of the Houston Texans. You think of the Patriots, right? These are teams that
Mm.
have wrecking balls. Sometimes there are some of the teams obviously that you would probably within that conversation, but the Seahawks are not really one of them. What they do have though, what is so impressive is how they run their DBs and how they run their linebackers in the scheme that they do, and so much of it is press man, right?
Mm.
Press, but at times how they're so willing to not play press man, but they still play man, where you can give up those 2, 3 short yardage situations in some of these short passing games. But because they are so smart and they are so disciplined and they run that defense where everyone knows exactly what they're doing so well, the Seahawks don't let you get away with it.
Mm.
You can't just go into these quick passing situations because they read them almost every single time. You can't go into these long passing situations because the DBs are clamped so hard on you. They have the ability to know when to jump a route. They have the ability to know when to just clamp on and make a some of the pass breakups have been insane. And you talk about Emin Yori. What's his name now?
Emin.
Emin Wari. I apologize. Um and even as a rookie, how good he has been in those situations,
Mm.
that defense is just so impressive, and it gives quarterbacks next to no options when passing for so long that it gives those defensive linemen more than enough time. Because if you let them go at it for enough time, they will win those battles against the offensive linemen, and your quarterback is going down.
Yeah. The thing with the Seattle Seahawks is, and like you mentioned, you can't stretch the game against them. So you can't. I don't think there is the ability, especially with as good as the Patriots have been. The Patriots don't exactly have the most. If we're talking about their wide receivers aren't exactly the most talented, and we've seen the most talented wide receivers struggle against these DBs.
Yeah,
The best way that they're going to, if the Patriots are going to win this game, the place they need to be throwing the ball is in between the lines. So over the top of the linebackers and just in that little pocket where we've seen Matt Stafford throw multiple passes to Puka Nacua, because that is where they're, I suppose, in terms of you're going to talk about a weak spot, that is the weak spot. You can't attack them out wide because, like I say, that their man coverage is just next level. You have to be able to throw it to someone in the slot position, essentially. And you've still got to be extremely accurate because you've got the likes of Ernest Jones, who is he's a hawk to the ball. The number of interceptions he's had this year has been ridiculous. So you've got to be so accurate with the ball. Now, the good thing about the Patriots is they have the most accurate QB in the NFL by stats in terms of passing completions. So you could argue to say that they're in a position where they could do some damage. And Hunter Henry is someone that they're probably going to target a lot of. Stephon Diggs in those slot positions, probably someone they're going to target. So we could see some. They could move the ball quite well. And we've even seen like against the I'm watching them against the Rams and other teams. They've not been the best at stopping the run. They've done well, and there are periods where they can go a game where they basically just completely shut down the run. But sometimes they don't, and that's what they've got to worry about because the Patriots run the ball well, and that could be an interesting battle between. Yes, they only bring four, but it's whether that O line can help them find the gaps to make those running plays. And we've seen them do it a lot. And even someone like Trevelyan Henderson, he's great on the edge, and making those sort of uh, you know run flap sort of plays. So we could see it should be an interesting game. But I do agree. I
Yeah.
think this defense, the Seahawks defense. I mean, I know that they've obviously come up against um, already come up against two of the best defenses. We're now talking about a team where you've got one of the other of the three best defenses in the league, but now you're now up against an explosive offense, which we haven't been able to see in terms of the Texans and the Broncos. So that's the difference between the two best defenses they played so far is that there hasn't been an explosive offense. Whereas with this offense, the likes of JSN, who has been brilliant. Even the likes of AJ Barner and Arayo and that have all been really good at tight end. Raheed Shaheed with his he can make a big blow up play, and we've seen Christian Gonzalez, even as good as he's been this year, give up a massive play, which he did against the Broncos. Like it can happen, and if Rashid Shaheed gets, even the slightest bit of space, Darnold has the ability to throw that big ball, and could potentially again find Shaheed in a good position. And on top of all of those weapons, they've still got Cooper Kupp, who, although hasn't been brilliant this year, is still got some of the safest hands in the NFL. So
Yeah.
it's a completely different kettle of fish in terms of the offense that the Patriots are going to face in comparison to what they have in the playoffs. And I just think that the Seahawks overall have just that little bit too much on every single phase to lose this game. The only thing that I could see happening is if Sam Darnold lets the occasion get too much for him, and he makes mistakes. But I don't think that Mike McDonald will allow that to happen.
Yeah. And it's just going to be. I'm getting quite into advanced statistics at the moment, probably not helping with my ability to fall asleep at night, I guess. Uh, but some of the advanced statistics that I might. These two teams are very, very close to each other in just about anything. You talk EPA, and the Seahawks lead pretty much every statistic, but it's pretty close. So the fact is, in my opinion, both of these teams, yeah, sorry. So EPA is one of those where it tells a much bigger and better story than you tend to realize. I am very, very sorry. Do you know what? Forget it. I'm butchering this, right? The Seahawks had the best defensive EPA in the league. The Patriots have like the third, I think, or fourth best EPA in the league defensively. Offensively, um, the Patriots and the Seahawks are pretty much roughly about the same. They're both top 10, neither of them are top five. It's quite insane just how close these two teams are in things like, especially EPA and some of these advanced statistics. Um, so even if you look and tend to go, I mean, EPA tends to tell the majority of the large story, but even then, neither of these two teams can really be separated in things like EPA. It's one of those really weird things. It's very rare, I think, that you find Super Bowls like this. Normally, one team is far better than the other at one statistic, um, but it is quite odd how close they are. What I'm gonna do, uh, as we start to look, I think, to wrap it up, is I'm going to get the odds up.
Ooh.
Now, the question, well, I say the question here, there's no question. Um, Actually, yes, there is. I will lead this with a question. Sam, do you miss playing fantasy football? Are you
Uh,
already missing it, or are you in that period of like kind of glad it's over now?
no, well, I'm sort of in that it's over, but the betting is still very much on.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, we're gonna have a couple of little flutters over the weekend, but the thing is, I do kind of miss fantasy football already a little, right? And I do want to put a couple of flutters on at the weekend. Good thing for anyone listening is that you can kind of still play fantasy football this weekend, as our friends over at Fantasy Game Day have a £5 game available for the Super Bowl. So, your last opportunity for the 2025 NFL season to make a couple of quid off Fantasy Game Day, and you can do so if you go to I butchered this one. This is my ad read, and I have butchered it. Let's try again. You can still have a flutter, play a bit of fantasy football, make a few quid this weekend with our friends over at Fantasy Game Day, the UK's first and only NFL daily fantasy application made by UK fans for UK fans. Set your lineup to a budget, compete against other UK fans, content creators, and the rest of us. Um, I'll be in there this weekend. I'm hoping Sam will be in there this weekend, and we hope to see some of you in there this weekend. It's your last opportunity to make some NFL money before, unless you're going to put some bets on the draft, obviously. But it's your last opportunity for the 2025 season to make a couple of extra quid on Fantasy Game Day. If you haven't signed up already and you want to give it a go, then head over to the Fantasy Game Day app. Link is in the description of this episode. Sign up and use code HRDLE. That is HRDLE, hurdle without the U.
There's no hurdle the line without you.
It's the last time we'll get to do that. Well, we can do it over the off season, but it's the last real time we'll get to do this properly now until September. So I'm relishing every second of that interaction. You can do something once you do, you sign up and play for the first time. You deposit and play for the first time, which will be Sunday. You will get £7.50 in free bets, which you'll have to use in September, but they will still be there in September. Um, when you deposit and play for the first time, and we get a little bit of a kickback. And Fantasy Game Day say thank you. So if you have enjoyed what we have done this year, and you want to support us, this is one of the few ways you can do so. If you also want to do that, by the way, we have recently signed up for Buy Me a Coffee, which, if you feel so inclined to anything the AAW network does and supporting what we do, then you can sign up. Chuck us a couple of quid on Buy Me a Coffee. All the links are in the description of this episode. We are grateful for every single one of you. Like I say, if you want to contribute to the network financially, but don't want to sign up for Fantasy Game Day, totally understand. And you can do it that way. Appreciate you all. Anyway, that's enough of me begging for money. Um, I'm gonna walk around with a little coffee cup or something like that and just ask for change at some point. Um, Over on Bet365, the odds are as follows. The spread. Are you looking at the odds, by the way, Sam, right now?
I can very, very, very
Don't,
quickly get them.
don't, don't. I want to play it. Can you tell me what the spread is? Can you guess what the spread is?
uh, 3.5.
3.5 in favor of.
The Seahawks.
Close. 4.5 in favor of the Seahawks. Last one. Can you guess what the over/under is?
46.5.
Oh, one away, 45.5. Very, very, very close. Yep, it
I
is
don't know if
minus
that
four.
I don't know if that says more about my knowledge of betting than anything else than it necessarily does about how I think the game's going to go.
That says your knowledge of betting, and that's why I asked you, Sam, because of your knowledge in betting, and your general football knowledge. Come on, man, this is
But
important to us.
I only watched the Seahawks and I only watched the Rams and Texas. So
Yeah, but you get to see the Seahawks twice a year.
that's very true. I have great knowledge of Seattle.
Great knowledge. Um, what do you think? Is that fair? 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's I would be inclined to say that they've put it. I mean, they've put it there because they think, well, if it's a touchdown, then people win. If they don't, it's a 3 point game. Probably ends up that way. So again, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a touchdown or if it was a 3 point game. Um, I just think that Seattle just
Ooh,
seem they hit the form at the right time in terms of being completely, destroying the Niners and then, you know, beating the Rams by 30 odd points. I just think that they just have that little bit too much for the Patriots. And
yeah.
as good as the Patriots are, and we've talked about how good they are, I just think this is probably one step too far for them. But it is a Super Bowl and anything can happen.
Absolutely true. I am just gonna get up one more tab because apparently I've not got enough tabs open on this computer right now. The 4,000 aren't enough. Right, one more click and I'll be with you. There we go. So, oh, actually, why couldn't I have just done that one on its own? In fact, I could have just right. I've just gone on extra clicks for nothing. Um, One really, really sad part of this week as well, by the way, for the injury reports is Eamon Warre was in limited practice yesterday, and it looked like he's done his ankle in. Had to
Uh,
be consoled a bit yesterday, and I'm not sure. Thursday's injury reports have not been released yet. It's 25 past 10 at night on Thursday. Normally they're released by now, but obviously with it being Super Bowl week, it in and out doesn't look the best. We're hoping he'll be okay. Um, Sam Darnold says his oblique feels good, absolutely ready to go. There was a little bit of a problem with Drake May's right shoulder. Drake May is good to go. He will be out there on Sunday, so will Sam Darnold. Um, the Seahawks injury report, though, is huge.
mm.
Huge.
It's huge
Jake
usually
Bobo,
every week.
yeah. Jake Bobo, but most of them are full practice. Quite a good chunk of them are full practices, though. Charles Cross is unlimited. Sam Darnold was limited. Nick Warrior was limited. Ernest Jones, full practice. Josh Jones, limited. Demarcus Lawrence was just resting because he's old.
I apologize. I said earlier Dexter Lawrence. I meant
Yeah.
Demarcus Lawrence.
Julian Love was in full practice. Robbie out, whatever. Yeah, limited. Brady Russell full. Eric Sober was full. Jackson Smith and Jake Bart was resting, and Drake Thomas shoulder was full. As far as the Patriots go, Robert Spillane did not practice with an ankle. Harold Landry was in limited. Thayer Munford Jr. Was limited. Joshua Farmer and Drake May were both full practice.
Yeah. The only one really there that's worrying is the Emanwari one.
Yeah,
I have no doubt that he will try everything in his power to make that Super Bowl, even if it means fully strapping up his ankle so he can barely move it. It's just one, like Mahomes did when he got the high ankle sprain. If it's good enough that he can walk on it, he'll play. May not be every
yeah.
snap, but he'll play.
He says he'll be good to go,
Yeah,
but doesn't every player who suffers something like that, like
yeah. Like I
crying
say,
out
he'll be.
loud, Patrick Mahomes said he'll be ready by week one. Like that's not a given,
Yeah,
but
he,
uh,
he'll he'll. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out. He'll be, you know, he'll have had aspirins up to his eyeballs as much as legally possible, and he will be strapped up on that ankle fully
yeah.
all game. And it may be that he doesn't play as many snaps as we expect, but I guarantee he'll be out there because no one's unless you are physically told you cannot be out there, they will make sure they play that Super Bowl game.
I do believe we both know someone who popped his shoulder out, dislocated his shoulder, and still went in, won a game.
Yeah.
They will go in if they want to, and talk about why these players are paid so as much as they are because the things they will play through,
Mm.
the risks they will put to their own bodies years and years and years down the line just to play a game. Um, Before we go, this is a good place to start wrapping it up and looking to next. Well, looking to Sunday. and let us go and enjoy it. Couple of questions for you, Sam. Number one is the least important question of them all. What are your predictions for Sunday?
I'm going with a 31-24 win
Full
to
touchdown.
Seattle.
I'm going to go with a bit of a lower scoring one. I'm going to go with a 23-20 in
Interesting.
favour of Seattle. So I think you're just missing out on the over. Unless most bets, I need to know what the split is on the bets. If most people are betting the under, then it'll be 21-24, 23-20 if it's no. It'll be 1 point. I'll guarantee it'll be on like half a point on the over or half
Mhm.
a point on the under. I promise you, it'll be one of those things. But no, I think it'll be a very, very close one. Seattle will edge it, but it'll never truly feel like the Patriots have got it and are truly in it, but it'll never feel like the Seahawks run away with it. It's gonna be
Mm.
a really weird one. Like the Seahawks will go 10 points up in the first quarter or something, and then just always kind of have the Patriots at arm's reach going forward. It's gonna be one of those really annoying ones. Um, really excited for it. Question number two, and this is by far the most important. Will you be staying up all night for it?
Yes.
So there's like a one. I realize it's a two A, two B, and two B is the most important bit. Snacks, drinks. We've done this about the national championship. So no, if you want that, go to the AAW _ college football account. Go and check what Canes Across the Pond was having. Recommended us. Did you get any of them Sainsbury sweets? Did you
No,
say
I
you were
haven't
going to
yet.
go and
I've
get
not
some?
been to Sainsbury's, but I might have to get some on the way.
Not bougie enough for Sainsbury's. I'm not bougie enough for Sainsbury's.
I am, but we tend to just not go to. It's an awkward place to get to, so we don't bother.
Yeah, I mean, like to be fair, like Sainsbury's name is one in Prestwich, which, but in between there, within that distance, there are like four Tesco's,
Mm.
three Aldi's, three Lidl's, two Asda's. Like there's so many more
Yeah, we're a two
options
minute
that are
drive.
cheap.
We're a 2 minute drive from Aldi, so we tend to go there.
Aldi's the best, right? And I'll throw this one out there. This is one of the only bits of promotion I'll do that's never paid for, and Aldi will never have to pay me for it. My one bougie thing is I love jam and cream biscuits. And obviously, as the years gone by, the Fox's ones are much better. But Aldi do. Damn it, I've absolutely ruined the packet. But Viennese finger jam and creams, right? And they are the nice, like 99p, and they're the nice. They're only eight in a pack, so I'll go through every couple of hours. I'll go through about six. But they are so nice. But Aldi's the best, and so is Lidl. Like I love most Lidl knockoff versions of things are something better than the original that they're a knockoff of.
Yeah. In terms of for this Super Bowl, it's going to be an interesting one because this will be the first Super Bowl where I'm actually watching it with friends. So I'm going down to my mates to watch it, who is a Seattle Seahawks fan, and I'm pretty sure everyone who's going to be there are Hawks fans, bar me. So that's going to be fun. So
Can't
I
push you
don't know
for
what.
some content for the AEW on that one.
Um,
I'm
Probably
not fine.
not.
I,
I
I, I,
will be.
no, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you do that. You're a Rams fan in Seahawks territory. I'm not going to tell you to whack a camera in the face while the Super Bowl's on. It's fine. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Thing is, I'm also going to be kind of semi supporting the Seahawks anyway. So just because it'd be funny to watch them win at,
It
at
would.
Levi.
And also,
And also, I don't like the Patriots.
no, nobody does. There was what is his name and where the Cleveland Browns? What is his name? I'll double check because I've sent a video of his out today to you and Tom. Um, the Dre Wallen, right? Dre Wallen. He did the whole thing of like who everyone's rooting for in the end. Like who, obviously AFC East, they're all not wanting the Patriots to win.
Hmm.
Any team who's never won a Super Bowl, they all want the Seahawks to win. And he
The
basically goes,
Steelers.
everyone wants, and then he goes to the NFC West and he's like, yeah, you three are gonna have to take one for the team on this one. You don't want the Patriots to win either. You're gonna want the Seahawks to win. Um, so love Nick. I was part of the college football podcast, and he is a Patriots fan, and I hope he has a lovely day on Sunday up until 11:30 at night because it's 11:30 kickoff, I think, our time.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be a great game, and
yeah.
I want the Seahawks to win. I think the Seahawks will win. I can't deal with Patriots winning another Super Bowl. I can't, and I'm
Mm.
sorry to Nick, but I can't. Um, for me though, the last few years, last year I went to one of those. I went to like a Super Bowl party, and it was okay. I got a lot of like the amount of alcohol I drank for the money I put into it was incredible value. I got incredible value out of it, and we went to one of them. What are they called now? The girls dance on the bar,
Hickory.
not Hickories.
No, I don't know.
Um,
Hooters.
no, not quite Hooters. It was in Blackpool, mate. It was in Blackpool.
Oh, I
Um,
don't know about
it's like a country themed bar and food place. That the dancing was great. Honestly, it was lovely. Um, but other than that, you quite like your country music. You're aware that I'm not a country music fan. You're aware that I am far more
that.
hip
Is it
hop.
Cowboy and Co?
Not Cowboy and Co, though. I am very much aware of that establishment in Blackpool. Um, but I had to, I'm not a country music guy. Um, and everyone knows I am a hip hop guy. So Kendrick Lamar was doing the halftime performance, and if I had to choose between Kendrick Lamar, one of my favorite artists of all time, and country music, I'm taking Kendrick Lamar. Instead, I had to watch some two-bit shitty little country music karaoke. The guy was pretending to play the guitar, right? He was pretending to play the guitar, and I figured it out because he played the backing track for the guitar, and YouTube has like certain channels will do instrumental versions and guitar instrumental versions. It had the YouTube intro come in on one of the songs, and as soon as it did that, I knew he was and
Fraud.
he I knew he was a fraud, right? So I had to watch this two-bit karaoke singer pretend to play the guitar while I'm watching Kendrick Lamar in the background and going, I think he's performing such and such a song. Um,
What's your thoughts on because obviously Bad Bunny is the halftime show for this one. There's a lot of NFL players that apparently are not liking the fact that he's doing it.
No, I mean we've spoke about it all right. When it kind of came out and when the news was announced, we spoke about it, didn't we, on the podcast like months ago.
Mhm.
Bad Bunny's not like Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. That was my kind of thing. Kendrick
Mm,
Lamar, that was my kind of thing. That was like right on, like not even just down my alley. That was my alley,
mm.
right? Those ones were. Um, Bad Bunny's not quite my taste, but I don't mind it. I don't
Yeah, I think it's apt because he's obviously just won multiple awards at the Grammys. I think it kind of makes sense
loads.
for him to be the Super Bowl
He's
halftime show.
the
And
most streamed artist in the world at the moment. Like he's the
yeah, like
biggest artist on the planet.
yeah, and obviously he has all of his stuff with the WWE as well. So
Yeah.
he's just I think it makes the most sense, although I know that there are a number of people who don't like the fact it's him because of his controversial opinions. Obviously, all of his discussions around ICE, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah, which we don't need to go into. But
No.
I can understand why there is a section of American people who are not liking the fact that he's doing it.
Well,
However, I think that in terms of we're just talking from a musical perspective,
yeah.
I think he is the right person.
Well, I think this is all I'll say on it, right? I don't mind it. I don't care. Right. I've had the two of the last three, four Super Bowl halftime shows have hit me so well. I can die happy. Like I don't have to watch another halftime show for the rest of my life to be happy that I got the ones that I got. Right. Selfish. That's my selfish side of it. I've got my stuff out of it. What we all need to remember is that for you, Sam, for me, That's not what the Super Bowl halftime show is for.
No.
And we've got some great ones out of it, but we are not what the Super Bowl halftime show is for. If the Super Bowl halftime show was not there, would you tune into the game?
Yes.
If it was, I don't know what you might. It might be rap. You can tell me if it's rap that's your worst genre of music that's ever existed. But like, if it was a thrash metal band, or if it was the like a full on, no, you're not even talking. You talk like underground, extremely politically and racially motivated rap music. Anything, would you still tune in and watch the game?
Obviously.
Then the suit like that. That's it. The NFL have got us in the.
Yeah.
Like, they've got us in the room, right? We're in the room. We're gonna watch the game. Nothing's changing the fact that we're watching the game. Now, for God, it's gonna sound like such a dickhead when I say this. For Claire, who's 22 years old, never watched a snap of football in her life, but really, really likes Bad Bunny and is into what
Mm.
sports and this kind of sports are not in her periphery. She won't watch the Super Bowl. She might now.
She'll watch the halftime show. She won't watch the Super Bowl.
But if she knows somewhere that's watching it, she probably won't sit there and watch it at home on her own though. She'll probably go. She'll know people who are having a Super Bowl party, right? She'll probably turn up to it this time. She'll have to at least watch the first half for a good chunk of it, right?
But
There are a lot of
she'll spend
people
time
out there.
she'll spend time chatting. That's what
Yeah,
they tend to do.
but the Super Bowl they charge so much for those halftime ads. I'm using that opportunity to go fill up my coffee because or a beer, fill up my snack helmet that I'm definitely not using because it's covered in that much dust. I don't trust it anymore. But like, look, we're not necessarily watching the halftime show. I'm probably gonna go for a smoke, or there are things that I'm doing instead of watching the halftime show, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, so they need the eyeballs on the screen. They've got me for the game. They've not got me for the halftime show, and it don't matter unless it was like Eminem or Kendrick Lamar again. I'm not sticking around for the halftime show.
Mm.
So they need people to like it's a long-winded way of saying the halftime show is not for me. It's not made for me in that sense. It's not
Okay.
made for you. It's not made for the people who are tuning in anyway at 10 p.m. on UK time to watch the hour and a half build up at 9 p.m. to watch two and a half. It's not made for us. It's
Yeah.
made for the people who won't be watching, and some of that there's going to be crossover. Obviously, some people are going to watch it for the first time. Some people are not. I just can't stand this whole whining about it, and people going. But if you want to go watch, like I love Metallica, right? I love Metallica. Don't think they're right for a Super Bowl halftime show anymore. If I want to watch a Metallica show for 15 minutes, I'll go on YouTube and put it on instead, right? I have the option to do that. It is 2026. We have so many opportunities to do so many different things. But instead, all I know is people are going to be going on Facebook at what it'll be 1 in the morning by the time the halftime show starts in the NFL UK Facebook group going, I can't stand it. Turn it off then. Change the channel then. Put it on mute, go make a cup of tea. So many things you could do, you choose to complain. Um, I apologize for the rant that you start that you didn't expect me to start on. Um, I will get off my soapbox. It does just wind down to though.
Yeah, I mean, the halftime show, I'll probably be chatting with my mates and stuff and talking
Exactly.
about the game more than anything.
Exactly. The That's it. Yeah, that's it. I'll be using I'll be using the opportunity to go fill up my drinks. I'll be using the opportunity to go get
Mm.
some snacks. I'll be using the opportunity to go and probably be doing some tweets on the AAW underscore NFL accounts. I'll be doing other things instead. Um, I'm interested to hear it because I guarantee you I've heard a song or two of his before. I just don't know that it's his. I'm interested to hear it. I'm interested to see how it goes from a genuine interest perspective, not to bitch and complain about it. I can't stand the band I hate the most on this planet, the musical artist I hate the most on this planet is Coldplay, right? Can't stand him. Absolutely despise Coldplay, right? I ain't go and sit there and complain when they were on. I wasn't sat there complaining when Maroon 5 were on because they aren't my kind of music. I just dealt with it. It's not for me. I move on, right? It is what it is. I can't. I said I finished that run and apologized and then started again. I do apologize. I am done. So the Super Bowl 11:30 p.m. It'll be on Channel 5. It'll be on Sky Sports and it'll be on DAZN. Um, there's the next question. Which one are you choosing to watch?
I,
Probably
I
DAZN.
don't have control over the telly, so it'll likely be DAZN.
Right. Um, but either way, we've got three different ways, including completely free to view. I might give Channel 5 a go, to be fair. Um, I might. I don't know. I've not decided. Um, but it's completely free to air on Channel 5 if you are looking for a way to watch it and you don't have Sky Sports and you don't have, which, by the way, still grateful to what Channel 5 have done this season for the NFL. With that being said, good luck to everyone. If your team is in the Super Bowl, if you are a Seahawks fan, if you are a Patriots fan, good luck on Sunday. I wish you the absolute best. Have the best time watching your teams play. If you don't win, sorry, Patriots fans. Um, it's gonna be a great game. Enjoy it.
If,
If you are a neutral, enjoy it.
if the Patriots win, it's going to be a dark day.
It will be. I'm not facing Nick on Wednesday. I'm cancelling every college pod for the next few months. The I was prepared to do it as well if Notre Dame won the Natty last year. Instead, for some reason, the team I hate the most won it, and I still carried on.
Nick
Anyway,
Nick
that's not the
loves
point.
support Nick loves supporting a controversial team, Man City, uh,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Notre
whoa,
Dame,
whoa! That
and
one's not
the Pats.
controversial. That one's
130 charges, still fairly controversial.
no, it's not. That's. Um, but yeah, have the best time if you're going out and you're watching the Super Bowl elsewhere, not at your home, like you are, Sam. Be safe and have a great time. I can't wait to see social media and see you all enjoying yourselves. I cannot wait, by the way, to be sat on my ass right here with my feet up on this desk, a cup of coffee in my hand, a beer in the fridge for half time, snacks on here, and Mrs. Fletch, usually like she does when I'm at home watching the Super Bowl, providing a feast that I never finish because it's too much. Cannot wait. Enjoy it and hurdle the bowl.